Hafa and good evening. You're watching PNC's News Now, broadcasting live from Guam and in Saipan. I'm Janela Carrera.
And I'm Clint Rogel. Thanks for tuning in. Topping your news tonight, here's something that could explain the delay in the opening of the Guam Regional Medical City. DCK Pacific has confirmed to PNC that there are some problems with the construction of the new hospital that's being built up in Dededo. Theron Holloway, general manager for DCK Pacific, says they discovered what he called minor structural problems in the fourth quarter of last year. He says these structural problems have to do with the building's rebar connectors. Since discovering the issue, Holloway says the repair work has been going on for at least a month, and he expects it to be completed in a few months. Holloway dismissed larger concerns about the structural integrity of the entire facility. He invited PNC to participate in a tour of the facility, along with GRMC's Gloria Long and a representative of DCK. And we will report back to you on that later this week. Fielding one other question about the state of DCK Pacific, Holloway confirmed that an offer to purchase DCK Pacific is under consideration. However, he declined to provide us with the details of that proposal.
In other news, after 2 weeks of trial, a verdict has been reached, and Francis Jude Taitano has much to celebrate today. He was found not guilty of raping a 10-year-old girl back in 2007.
All rise for the jury.
Closing arguments had just wrapped up last Friday in the 2-week-long trial, and the case had just been turned over to the jury this morning. It certainly came as a surprise to many when the court announced that a verdict had been reached. Although not unheard of, it's not often that a jury reaches a verdict within less than 2 hours. Just as surprising was the verdict itself. Many believe the prosecution presented a strong case, as they had the best witness possible, the victim. As the verdict was read aloud in court, gasping and crying could be heard. Francis Jude Taitano, accused of raping a 10-year-old girl back in 2007, sat quietly through it, just as he did throughout the trial.
We, the jury, in the above entitled case, unanimously find the defendant, Francis Jude Taitano, not guilty of the offense of first-degree criminal sexual conduct.
Not guilty on 1 count of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and 2 counts second-degree criminal sexual conduct. It was only after Taitano stepped out of the courtroom that he began to show emotions of relief. He was, after all, facing a life sentence.
Any comments, any reaction? How do you feel about getting that verdict?
We're very happy with the verdict, and they just want to get on with their lives.
Lead prosecutor Jeremiah Luther says he was disappointed with the decision, but congratulated the defense for putting on a good case.
We're obviously disappointed in the jury's decision, and we disagree with their conclusion, but we're going to respect that verdict. And Mr. Khan just did a good job. He represented his client very well.
The case may be over, but Luther says the real tragedy is that an entire family has been torn apart by what happened.
We got the information that we wanted to. We got an expert in, and I think that we did all that we possibly could.
Luther says the Attorney General's office will continue to keep in touch with the victim and her family and offer whatever assistance is available to them. And in more court news, a 46-year-old man appeared in court today for allegedly abducting 2 11-year-old boys and performing oral sex on one of them. According to a magistrate's report, Jesus Olivar parked his vehicle at a local park and scoped out the place. He saw 4 boys walking, then blocked them with his car. Police say he then threatened to run them over with his car if they didn't get inside. 2 of the 4 boys were able to get away and report the abduction to authorities. According to police, Olivar confessed to the crime, but says the 2 boys got into his car on their own. He also confessed to police that he took the 2 boys to his home and performed fellatio on one of them. He is due back in court in 10 days.
It seems Keith Jermaine Garrido can't make up his mind. He's once again decided he wants to plead guilty to the 2012 murder of Nancy Moffness. Garrido was due in court today, but the pretrial conference was canceled after the court and the Attorney General's office were informed that Garrido plans to take the plea deal. The last time Garrido was in court, Judge Nita Sokola scolded him for what she called playing games. Several times throughout the case, Garrido had changed his mind on whether he wanted to plead guilty to the charges or go to trial. And in the last hearing, he said he would plead guilty to all the charges except for aggravated murder. Aggravated murder carries a punishment of life without the possibility of parole. In fact, Garrido's trial was all set to begin this week, but with this new twist, and if this sticks, he is scheduled to make the plea on February the 6th at 9 a.m. As to his other case, in which he's accused of escaping from prison and assaulting a woman in her home, it is still set to proceed to trial, but no trial date has been scheduled yet.
Port Authority General Manager Joanne Brown was called to court this morning regarding a writ of mandate filed by the Guam Federation of Teachers to move their collective bargaining agreement on for final signatures. However, as PNC's Betsy Brown reports, attorney Mike Phillips claims the court does not have jurisdiction on the matter.
There's no question that the Port Authority Board of Directors signed a collective bargaining agreement with the Guam Federation of Teachers in 2012. The question before the court is whether the port's general management can be directed to move that contract forward for final signatures. According to court documents, the contract has been in the port's hands since April of 2013, when an attorney general's review determined that 2 minor edits needed to be made. GFT now wants Port General Manager Joanne Brown to be ordered to move the contract forward. But attorney Mike Phillips says the edits aren't even in the general manager's power to complete.
The question is, why won't the AG put in the date? Why doesn't the AG type in the AG's line for signature? It's left the port, Your Honor. So they've selected one officer at the port below the board that does not have the delegated authority to handle this. I apologize, Your Honor. The selection of the GM when the line added is for the AG is not something that they should come to court and compel.
While attorney Phillips argues that the matter doesn't even fall under the court's jurisdiction, GFT attorney Josh Walsh says it does, and he finds it disappointing that it's come to this.
If you've got an agency that refuses to take a very simple ministerial step, put a signature line on a page and send a contract along for Attorney General review, what are a bunch of blue-collar workers who are offloading boats supposed to do about that? Are they just supposed to sit by and let nothing happen? Or maybe they go to court to try to get the court to force the agency to do what the agency's supposed to do, and that is take the completed contract and send it along.
Judge Berdallo decided to take the matter under advisement to determine whether or not the court has jurisdiction. Betsy Brown, PNC News.
There have been numerous water main breaks over the past couple of weeks, including one just today in ORDA. These breaks have resulted in lower water pressure for places like Santa Rita and Agate.
We did have a water main break. Crews were on the scene as early as, I think, about 4 o'clock. And the water was fully restored by about 8:30 this morning. I know it was too late for school. I think they had closed school already. But we did get water onto that area. I believe about 45 homes were out of water this morning when people woke up to do their usual morning routine.
Last week, there were 4 water main breaks in the village of Santa Rita. Santa Rita has been having issues with water pressure and water outages due to these breaks. It turns out the breaks in the water mains are due to the fact that GWA is rerouting water from the central and northern parts of Guam down to Santa Rita and Agate because GWA is trying to buy less water from the Navy's Fenna Water Reservoir.
One of the goals of the CCU and upper management is to reduce our dependency on Navy water. That is a higher priced purchased water for us.
GWA spokeswoman Heidi Ballendorf says that 8 years ago they were buying 1,900 gallons a minute from the Navy, and now they're buying around 300 gallons a minute. This means GWA has had to pump water from the central and northern areas down south, and because the pipes and the water system is so old, it's resulting in these breaks.
We've been pushing water from the north to the south for the last 5 or 6 years. We've really learned a lot more about our system. Our water operators have and been doing an excellent job on that. But when you have to turn valves on and off, that does cause problems to the system, and I think that's where the problem lies.
And the valves have to be turned on and off in order to reroute water from up north down south.
We have enough water to send from the north to the south, but the system is just still not quite up to handling that kind of maneuvering, and so we're working really hard, but it's just we need to probably just take pause on it and keep working towards that goal of of really reducing that Navy purchase water, or to the day when GWA finally does FENA gets returned to Guam Water Works.
Ballendorf says that replacing the old water pipes in Santa Rita and Agate are a part of GWA's capital improvement projects.
Millions will have the opportunity to get to know Destination Guam as the next Pacific hotspot thanks to United Airlines' in-flight magazine Hemispheres, which features Guam in their next issue. PNC's Rizal Romanes saw the unveiling of the cover page this morning, and she has more in this report.
1, 2, 3. Yeah!
It looks like our tiny tropic island is the next big thing. Guam, along with its breathtaking scenery and rich cultural heritage, is the spotlight of the February issue of Hemispheres, United's worldwide in-flight magazine. In the upcoming issue, the island is showcased in a 9-page spread titled 3 Perfect Days in Guam.
So it'll give the traveler who's never experienced the Guam destination a great feel of what it would be like if they went to it. And you're going to keep turning the pages because it's invigorating.
Guam is featured as the next Pacific hotspot. And with more than 5,200 flights per day from United, the article is expected to be read by millions of global travelers.
You're looking at about close to 12 million passengers for that 1 month that have an opportunity to read and view the experience of Guam through this United Airlines in-flight magazine.
The article highlights the beauty, history, and culture of our island. Governor Calvo says the publication is a great exposure for Destination Guam. Another fun fact, our island's beautiful neighbor in the Pacific, Palau, was also featured in the magazine 2 years ago. Rizal Romanes, PNC News.
Wow, makes me want to fly just
To Guam? To go to Guam?
Well, just to see this magazine. I mean, I know Rizal brought back a copy, but it's not the same unless you're actually looking at it in the airplane.
All right.
So, hint, hint. Just kidding.
All right, let's check in now with PNC's Blake Watson to see what he's got coming up for us in sports.
Hey, half a day, sports not too far away. Be sure to check me out. My name is Blake, by the way. I've got basketball and soccer, the who, the what, the when, all on PNC Sports now. Coming up.